What is going on, everybody? I don't know if I am audible. First time back in a long time, so I'm trying to figure out my jam again. Jack, can you hear me? I need to know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Trying to sort of like QA this in real time. And I'm unsure if folks can hear me because it's not really showing up here. Oh, I think you can. Okay. I just really... Oh, we love that. We love that. Oh, we love that. What is going on, everybody? Hello and welcome to the MoneyShift Automotive News channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. For those of you that have tuned in to any of the Maverick, Polestar, Lightning, whatever videos it is, I appreciate you guys. But what we do here on the live channel is we cover anything and everything related to automotive news. So if it's new, if it's hip, if it's happening, we talk about it here and we answer your questions, your comments, whatever you guys have to offer. Oh, I'm extra loud. Okay. I don't know if that's, you know, whatever. Anyway. So if you guys want to talk, if you guys want to hang out, if you guys have opinions on anything that we talk about today, do not hesitate to put it in the chat because you know what? This is super interactive. I love talking with you guys. I mean, the whole reason why MoneyShift started was because I talk about cars all the time, right? So I would love to talk about cars with you. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it because it's been a while. So, wowza, we got a lot to talk about. So we're going to do it. All right. So, how this works, for those of you that have never been here before, is we go through individual articles on various websites, and that is how we cover things. We do it in real time. We react to things as they happen, okay? And then after this, okay, after we go into some things, we're going to look into some daily drivers because the Polestar 2 is coming up on its time. So Jack, others, whoever's in the chat, I'm going to need your help to help me pick what is next. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First bit of news comes my way from the fine folks at Kia. The Kia Sorento and Sportage owners urged not to park their SUVs inside. This is pretty interesting. So this car just came out, right? The Sorento and the Sportage were recently released. Oh, we'll get there, Jack, for sure. The new recall notice reveals that foreign material and moisture contamination on the tow hitch harness module's printed circuit board could result in an electrical short circuit. And this triggers a tow hitch harness module fire. Yowza. So the tow hitch harness accessory was supplied by Mobis. Kia North America has identified several tow hitch harness related fires, including a 2016 Kia Sorento. So if you guys have that, definitely check that out. This seems to have affected a lot of models. 2016 to 22 Kia Sorentos, Kia Sorento hybrids, and Kia Sportages. So if you guys have any of those, definitely check that out. That is pretty serious. Pretty serious. I had not heard about this. Yeah, me neither, dude. That's first thing. That is serious. That is very serious. And guys, if you're tuning in, if you're enjoying the stream, do not forget to hit the like. Automotive streams, for the most part, don't really have a lot of visuals, right? Not a lot of folks see them. A lot of folks hone in on gaming or politics. So we definitely want to increase the message, increase the brand for MoneyShift. So if you guys are enjoying what you're watching, do not forget to hit that like button. But we're going to keep it moving. VW could move production out of Germany due to natural gas shortage. This is actually extremely interesting. So folks know what is going on in the Ukraine and Russia. Volkswagen has a lot of their production in Germany, and Germany gets a lot of their natural gas production from Russia. And with the war in Ukraine, they cut it off. They said no more. So all the companies that were using that natural gas, their costs went up substantially, which definitely affects your bottom line. And now it seems like Volkswagen is taking action, and they are moving their production lines from Germany to other plants in Belgium, Portugal, and Spain. So this is pretty big news, okay? Volkswagen is obviously suffering, like we said here, from Russia's decision to limit gas exports, all right? Midterm alternatives are going to move things in Europe, but they're actually opening up more plants in the U.S. as well, which is pretty interesting. The car maker claims it might be able to maintain production for the next 6 months if Germany carries on filling its gas reserves, which are close to 90% full, but that number could fall over the winter. Volkswagen has pledged to reduce its gas consumption by at least the 20% target set by the German government. So Volkswagen's concerned about its suppliers' ability to handle energy prices rising and the potential impact on car production if those suppliers are forced to reduce or even stop their production lines. So you heard it here first, guys. Volkswagen might be moving even more of its production out of Germany. Right now, if you are buying a Volkswagen in the U.S., there really are only a couple models that are built in Germany that we get here. ID4s, Golf Rs, GTIs, and the Arteon. Those really are the only models that we get here in the States that are built in Germany. Every other Volkswagen product, the Taos, the Atlas, the Tiguan, the Atlas Crossport, the things that honestly sell, the Jetta, etc., are made either in the U.S. or in Mexico. So, yeah, think of it what you will, but that is definitely news for sure. But let's keep it going. Toyota Sequoia begins production at its Texas factory. So contrary to, we're going to need the MoneyShift opinion on the S650. I don't know why the chat bot. Oh, I do know why. That is why. Bang. There we go. Now I see you, Jack. I'm a big fan of the Arteon as well. I think the Arteon is a solid machine. I think it's underrated. The problem with the Arteon, though, Jack, is it is in a very competitive price segment. You're looking at a mid-$40,000 large sedan that is mainly front-wheel drive based, all-wheel drive, and while it's constructed in Germany, while it has a lot of, features, good fit and finish, good materials, etc., you're looking at a car that now competes against the G80, the Kia Stinger, right? These are other serious options, right? So that's definitely something to keep in mind if you're looking at an Arteon. Now, you might be able to get it heavily discounted. There's still 22s on lots, but should it be a car you get? That remains to be seen. All right, let's take a look at this Toyota Sequoia. How cool is this, by the way, guys? The Trd Pro Toyota Sequoia just looks so damn mean. So damn mean. Factory light bar, wide flares. This color is just mwah. Mwah. Yeah, it's not that great at sticker, Jack, but maybe, with a couple thousand off MSRP. What up, V? We are live. You already know. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Thank you all for hitting that like button. Definitely appreciate you guys for doing that as well. Oh, I like this better. Yeah, I'm going to have the chat just all the way up. Okay. So let's take a look into this Toyota Sequoia. We got VM, we got Jack, we got the whole squad in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for sure. So the last day of summer in the Northern Hemisphere was the first day of production for the 2023 Toyota Sequoia. The facility that Toyota made in San Antonio, Texas, employs 2,600 workers. And Toyota says they're going to scale that up to 3,600 with 5,300 suppliers prepped. So Toyota's doing it, guys. Toyota is absolutely doing it. You want to talk about brands that are bringing production here to the United States, you gotta support Toyota. Gone are the days where Toyota is Japan only. Gone are the days where, it's just Chevrolet, it's just Ford, it's just Dodge. No. Toyota is very much so made in America in this new Toyota Texas facility. Really double, triple, quadras down on that. I do agree with you, V. I think this looks better than the Tundra. I love the rear end of the new Sequoia. It's so nice. But yeah, this overall style is sick. Is sick. Yeah, Jack, a lot of people forgot because the initial reviews came out about the Toyota Sequoia, but then it stopped, right? Like everything halted. No news about it came out, but now that it's being produced again, you know, it's going to come back in the limelight. So the third generation of Sequoia marks a new era of electrified vehicles. Remember, guys, all Sequoias are hybrid. All of them are hybrid. That will help us move closer to our carbon neutrality while delivering on and exceeding customer expectations of this iconic SUV. Our team members are beyond proud to add Sequoia to our Texas-built production lineup and take on new challenges as we deliver vehicles that customers love and fit their lifestyles. So pretty cool. Now remember, guys, the Sequoia is not cheap. Base model for a rear-wheel drive Sequoia is 59 Gs. Now you're looking at something that comes relatively fully loaded. Not a lot of things you can add to a Sequoia, but a top-of-the-range Sequoia capstone will set you back 80 Gs. 80 Gs. That is a big price point, but pretty in line with cars like the Suburban, cars like the Yukon, cars like the Escalade, right? So I agree. Jack says it fits the new Toyota style better than the Tundra. I don't know what it is about the Tundra, but it just doesn't pull it off. I think that'll change over time, Jack, if I'm being brutally honest. But I do agree. I think initially the Sequoia definitely hit the nail on the head in terms of nailing that overall design. The 27th, so in 4 days, we will have a brand new Ford Super Duty. There's been a couple previews. We're not going to show that because nothing really crazy has come of it. Skoda Octavia, not really relevant to us folks in the U.S., but an EV is coming of that later on. The thing that is relevant for us here in the States, though, guys, is this is definitely going to preview an all-electric Volkswagen sedan that will also be coming to the States for sure. BMW has debuted their livery of their Lamar Challenger. This is something that is very important. Now, folks, we've talked about it on the podcast in the past. We've talked about it on live streams in the past, but we're going to break it down really quick, nice and easy, fast and loose for you guys, so you know what is going on when it comes to the Lamar Championship in the coming years. So, at the peak, at the number one, okay? Oh, I just realized there might be a... No, there isn't a delay. Okay, that's fine. Okay. At its peak, guys. Oh, sorry. I thought someone was knocking on my door there. All right, I actually don't need these headphones. So at its peak, okay? At its peak. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so what is the Lamar Championship going to be in 2023 and 2024 and on into the foreseeable future? And why are all of these brands all of a sudden competing in this series? Well, I'm going to tell you guys, okay? Let's take a look quickly at this BMW. We're going to full screen this guy. We're going to open the image in a new tab, and we're going to look at it like this, and we're going to talk about what this series is, because it is very important for you guys to know as more and more cars start to come out, okay? What is this series actually, what it is becoming, and why are all these companies joining? Okay, top of the charts. Actually, no. We're going to start bottom up, okay? The road car-based series, traditionally GT3, in the past GT1, in the past there was a specific aero kit just for the Lamar Championship cars. What that meant was if you wanted to race in the endurance series, you had to create a bespoke vehicle that only competed in that series. And that was pretty costly to you, right? Because you're dedicating a lot of resources to build a car that only competes in one race series around the world. So that's not really competitive. That's not really appealing to a lot of different automotive manufacturers. As a result, at the end of its life, there really were only 2 or 3 companies competing in that, between Chevrolet with the Corvette, Porsche with the 911, and Ferrari with the 488. Aston Martin also was there. Spyker was there at some points, right? But not a lot of people really stayed there. So what is that evolving to, right? Why are more companies excited about the GT series in Lamar? Well, the rules are changing, and GT3 is going to be the staple for Lamar. And you know what, guys? There are tons of companies that have GT3 cars. Let's go through the list really quick, okay? We got Bentley, we got Mercedes, we got McLaren, we got Chevrolet, we have Acura, we have, you know what I mean? Porsche, we have Ferrari, we have Aston Martin, we have Nissan, right? These are Toyota, we have 10 companies at least with GT3 cars. Mustang, Ford, right, just announced their new GT3 car that could compete in this series going forward. So Lamar changing that endurance rule from being this bespoke aero rule to GT3 cars opens it up to a whole new competitor set. But the second thing they did was standardize a lot of the rules in the upper echelon category of LMP1. Historically, if you wanted to compete in this series for the overall win, you had to create some crazy bespoke prototype thing that, didn't really hit the mark. For a lot of companies, they leverage racing for marketing purposes, and to incur a big cost like that and develop this sort of bespoke vehicle just to have, a marketing message didn't really seem right. And that is why towards the end of the old school LMP1 as we know it class, the only company really competing in it was Toyota, and that is because Toyota actually leverages the LMP1 class for R&D. They're one of the few automakers that leverages the Lamar prototype series for research and development as opposed to just leveraging it for marketing. Okay. So what's the new rule set? Why are all of these companies like this BMW jumping in to this series? Well, it's pretty simple. They've broken it out into two different classes. The first class is Lamar Hypercar. These are more unhinged. You have a lot more engine options, a lot more aero options. These cars tend to be a little bit heavier, but usually there is also a road version of that vehicle that leverages the technology used in that Lamar Hypercar. Right now, the two hypercars that we have seen are the Peugeot and the Toyota. So this is the Peugeot Lamar Hypercar. Let me sort of like zoom in on this for you guys. This is the 9X8. This is one of the better looking hypercars, and Peugeot is taking a really interesting design with this, where they're not using a large wing like they would in another class, right? So we'll see how this car does. Right now, it's about 2 seconds slower per lap than a conventional vehicle, but admittedly, Peugeot is still testing, right? So the second hypercar that we have is the Toyota Lamar Hypercar. It has a lot that's similar to its previous LMP1 efforts, but a lot is different as well. It uses a twin-turbo V6 hybrid, and as you can see here, they actually are testing a road version of that car. Let me show you guys on this screen. They are testing a road version of that car called the GR Supersport. So a road version of that car is actually going to come. Okay, so that is class 1 in the top 2, right? Lamar Hypercar. The second class, and arguably more important, is this class, the Lamar Daytona Hybrid. Okay, and I'm sure they have another name for it, right? There's something else in the works that WEC wants you to think about this class. But effectively, what this class is a standardized chassis from one of 4 different renowned companies. You're talking Multimatic, we're talking Ligier, we're talking these companies that, everyone knows in this endurance racing space, okay? And then on top of that, you put on a body that is a very strict rule set, right? That's why a lot of these Lamar hypercars actually look very similar if you see how their bodies are sculpted and shaped. And the engines are where things can get spicy. Yeah, Jack, that Toyota is going to go into production. So if we look at the Lamar Daytona hypercars, okay, we have the Cadillac. I'm going to do this again because it seems like this is the only way you guys can really see this. So we have the Cadillac here, okay? And if you see it compared to that BMW we just saw, same like high hips here, right, with the wheels. But the lighting is very reminiscent of a Cadillac, right? Like if you see this, pretty much off the rip that you're dealing with a Cadillac, which is the main goal of this series, right? They want you to know what you're looking at, okay? If you look at Lamborghini's LMDH car, We get this teaser here. Oh boy, what happened to my screen? My computer is freaking out. That's weird. That has never happened to me before. We're going to turn off the music, see if that helps things. We're going to kick the stream elements back up. And we're going to do this. Yeah, why are you being a royal pain in the ass? Huh. All right, let's try this again. Sorry about that, guys. Let me pull it up. This is why people that stream have a lot of money. Okay, I'm just kidding. Nope, that's not what we wanted. That's not what we wanted. That is what we wanted. Okay, let's try this one more time. Lamborghini LMDH. Okay, so Lamborghini also previewed their LMDH car, twin turbo V8 here, but you can still see even in this image, okay, there is a similar shape to the BMW that we just showed off, right? And that's no shock, okay? Now, these cars are going to differ, right, visually, like I think from that BMW we just saw to that Lamborghini we just saw to this Acura, okay, right here. Like, these cars have striking visual cues that allow you to understand which vehicle you're working with, right? I mean, like, if you look at this front end, it's pretty easy to see that this is an Acura versus, you know, the BMW that we just saw here, right? Like, this car is very much so BMW as well, right? So, like, that is the one thing that is good about this series, okay? Because they're saving money on things like chassis, right? Because that's standardized over 4 companies, they're allowed some more freedom to do some cool things, right? Like this. Now, BMW just showed off their car. This is their finalized vehicle that now will go into massive testing. This is the BMW M Hybrid V8 and in its race livery. Now, when we're talking about what is powering this thing, this is a V8, which is very, very cool. It's going to be a V8 hybrid. And if you look at it, okay, it's got the iconic massive BMW grille, which Jack does not like compared to the Cadillac and the Lamborghini and the Acura, which I get, you know, but here we are. It is very BMW. So I give them credit for that, and hopefully it is competitive, because at the end of the day, you want everybody to be competitive in this space. One of the things that I do like, though, a lot is this livery. I mean, look at this M. This is very, very, very cool. Very, very, very cool. I'm actually really obsessed with this, if I'm being honest with you. I think this overall design of this livery is solid. Very straight up, very well done. And I really appreciate BMW for doing this, if I'm being honest. Okay, I think if we make this screen smaller, we can make the chat bigger. So let's do that. And you guys let me know if things are too small on the screen side and you guys can't see it. But I want to be able to read your chat too. So I kind of like having chat bigger for folks to see as well. Bev check. We got cold brew today, Jack. We got a venti cold brew. And I changed my Starbucks name to T. Or T like the letter, because previously it was doing my full name. And that's pretty long. And not a lot of folks can read it. So it is what it is. Okay. So the last LMH car that I want to show you guys before we keep going, so you can see all of the cars that have been revealed so far. This is the Porsche, right? So again, very similar shape. Livery also goes hard, just like the BMW, but you can see this is very, very Porsche, right? The lighting elements are very synonymous with a lot of Porsches that we know. Not circular, which is kind of a drag. I would have wished there was more like 911-y inspiration to the front of there, but maybe they're alluding to how their future vehicles will look, right? Like the Boxster, like the Cayman, like the other cars. This thing very much so looks like the Porsche Mission R vehicle, which was debuted like a year or so ago now, which is their like all electric race car. End of stream question. Yeah, you got it, Jack. 100%. I mean, ask it whenever, dude. Like the good news, guys, about this live stream that we're doing right now is whenever you have a question, if you have something you want to talk about, let's talk about it. Like, this is a open forum. We're going to be streaming for another sort of like half hour, 45 minutes. So if you guys got something top of mind, like, ask it. Let's definitely get into it. I'm down for this stream to go any sort of direction as long as we get sort of an hour and a half of streaming here. I'm definitely in to hang out with you guys. So don't hesitate to ask any question, Jack, whenever you want. And that goes for anybody, right? If you guys are watching this stream. Okay, let's keep it going. So now that we gave you an overview of the Lamar Hypercar class and the Lamar Daytona Hypercar class, now you guys have an understanding of what that sort of BMW is that we just showed off, and everything makes sense and the world is normal again. Okay, I don't know why this is doing that, so we're going to go off this. We're going to go to the fine folks at Motor Trend. And the stream froze, but we're back. Okay, cool. We love that. I don't know what's going on with this computer. I might have to delete a lot of things at the end of this stream before we do it again. But anyway, okay. 2024 Acura Integra Type S spied on public roads. Let's see these photos. Let's get some opinions from you guys. See what you think about what the Type S would be and what it has to be for you in order to deem it to be successful. Oh, Jack, it's funny you asked that because that's the exact question I'm asking myself right now. So we can definitely get into it for sure. Okay. These are the spy photos of the Integra Type S. Now, guys, we knew this was coming. We knew Acura was going to be developing a Type S model of the Integra, and we knew that it likely was going... Yikes. Sorry about that. We knew that it was likely going to leverage a lot from the Integra. From the Civic Type R. And we already see that. Look at those three tailpipes, right? The three tailpipes instantly reflect that we're dealing with Civic Type R powered thing, or that a Type S is going to be on the Integra three tailpipes as well. Now, when we sort of scroll over to this front shot here, we see a couple things that are pretty interesting right off the rip. Okay, the first of which is cooling. And what they seem to be doing in the cooling department that differs a lot from the traditional Integra. First of which is right here, okay? In the bumper, there's massive holes for cooling. Also seems like there's going to be a hood scoop. Honda has learned immensely from the FK8 generation Type R from a cooling perspective, and as a result, they seem to be introducing a lot more of that here too. Let's see if there's any more photos. Okay, LED turn signals, that's on the Integra anyway. Seems to have a wider stance for sure. While this is heavily camouflaged, you can definitely see a little bit of an angle here. So it does have a wider stance, which probably is going to be really, really nice for the Integra. If we scroll up here and we see photos of the Integra, okay, it's not that wide. So having wider openings here, a hood scoop, more aggressive fenders front and rear will probably do a lot to make this thing look even better. All right, let's keep it going. Nothing really to see here other than large brakes and larger wheels. No wing. I think that's pretty important. I like this sort of comparison here. With the Civic Type R. Hopefully they do it for the rear as well. Amazing. You see on the Civic Type R, you have this sort of rear wing here. Very GT3 RS style. It feels like, okay, if I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on here and I'm going to lay you guys down with exactly what the Integra is going to be. The Integra Type S is going to be the GT3 Touring to the GT3 of the Civic Type R. The Civic Type R is going to be the more raw, the more loud, the more visceral vehicle, and the Integra Type S is going to have all of those qualities with a tinge more luxury and a tinge more grown-up, professional sort of style. And I love that but not everyone is going to. People are going to want this to be all-wheel drive. People are going to want this to be, I don't know, some sort of like plug-in hybrid. People are going to want this to be crazy. People are going to want this to do all of these different things, and it's not going to do that. But I don't want you guys to get wrapped up in all of that bullshit that you're going to hear on the internet. The fact of the matter is the Integra Type S is going to be a Civic Type R with an Integra body. So it's going to be front-wheel drive, probably have around 316 to 320 horsepower, and just be overall a good machine with a lot more luxury than the Civic Type R provides. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one. And we don't have a lot of news when this is going to be coming out, but this is probably going to be a 2024 model. So I'm sure we'll see the release of this car at some point next year. So we'll look forward to that for sure. Okay, Jack, we got one more queue that we're going to go into. And then we'll get right into the daily driver conversation, because that is the exact price point, my friend, that I am also working with. So we can sort of hash that out together. So Mercedes unveiled their new C63. This is the 2024 C63 SE Performance. And it gets half as much engine with way more power per Motor Trend. Sorry, I just got a ping on my phone. Okay. Cool. We're good to go. All right. So what are the details for the brand new C63 AMG? Now, before we get into this too much, let's know and let's remind folks what Mercedes has already told us. Okay. Mercedes has already told us that the C63 will be 4-cylinder. Mercedes has already told us the all C-Series, all C-Class vehicles will be 4-cylinder or electric. There's no 6, there's no 8. So everyone knew going in that this was going to be a 4-cylinder of some sort, you know, which a lot of people hate because the previous generation C-Class was a C63 AMG, and that thing was absolutely mental, right? It was V8 twin turbo. It was wild. So they're going from V8 to 4-cylinder, pretty drastic, but let's see what they did to sort of try to sway some folks in that direction. The new C63 might be a hybrid, but it is not a Prius. The all-wheel drive C63 SE Performance packs out a system output of 670 horsepower and 752 pound-feet of torque. Let's just say that one more time, okay? This car has 670 horsepower and 752 pound-feet of torque. The fact of the matter is this 4-cylinder makes more horsepower than most 6-cylinder and V8s on the market today. So how does it do that, okay? How did Mercedes extract that much power out of their 4-cylinder engine? Well, I'll tell you. They were able to get a 4,600-pound sedan to do 0 to 60 in less than 3.4 seconds. So what did they do? So it has a 469 horsepower version of Mercedes's M139, which is the inline-4 turbocharged engine. There's derivatives of this engine in the GLA 45 AMG, the CLA 45 AMG, and any AMG that uses a 4-cylinder engine. So the first thing is absolutely mental, okay? They have a 2.0 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, okay, with 470 horsepower. Think about that for 1 second, okay? Historically, one of the highest horsepower 4-cylinder engines that we've seen, okay? You have Mercedes with their own GLA, CLA, A35, A45 AMG vehicles. Those cars got 350 and change horsepower, which was already insane. You have the Golf R, which is a touch over 300. You had the Focus RS, you had the Evos, you had the STIs, all right around 300. Mercedes says, no, we're going to take all your engines, we're going to bundle them up, we're going to throw them in the fucking garbage, because our car, our 4-cylinder engine alone, gets 469 horsepower. 469 horsepower out of a 2.0 liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. What the heck is going on? That is crazy, okay? The next step is electric motors. Mercedes mounted a 201 horsepower electric motor at the rear axle. What's different, they say, is we didn't put an e-motor on top of the internal combustion engine. Instead, they have a, quote, virtual engine that provides the output demanded by the driver in the fastest, most responsive way using the best characteristics of both engines. What that means in simple terms is the output of the ICE engine and the E-motors are treated separately. That means that the gas engine, okay, drives all four wheels through a 9-speed transmission, but the E-motor drives the rear wheels through its own 2-speed transmission. And that's why this sedan weighs almost 5,000 pounds. You have a gas motor with its own transmission and an electric motor with its own transmission. Got it? Nuts. This setup avoids having to put the E-motor's torque through the gasoline car's transmission, which is torque limited. Okay, so it allows it to sort of give as much torque wherever without worrying that the transmission of the internal combustion engine is going to nuke itself from orbit. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, let's keep it going. C63 has a 400-volt electric architecture and a high-performance 6.1 kilowatt-hour battery. Through the compact 196-pound battery. Again, more reason as to why this thing is heavy. It is a plug-in hybrid. This thing can drive purely on electric power if you want it to, which is pretty interesting. And it also has a 48-volt electric turbocharger. So why not, right? So there is a ton of technology in this vehicle, but with all that technology comes all that weight. Jack says, too bad it sounds like Garbo. Jack, this car doesn't even make any noise. And the reason why it doesn't make any noise is, number one, turbocharged engines are inherently quieter than naturally aspirated engines. It just is what it is, right? If you want to quiet an engine, an easiest way to do that, honestly, is you just turbo it. That muffles it completely. So step one. Step two is this leverages a lot of electric assistance, right? So it's even quieter as it's doing all of that speed. So you have a turbocharged electric vehicle, so it doesn't even make any noise, right? Like there's not a lot of craziness going on here, which is a stark contrast from the previous generation C63's twin turbo V8. That thing was rowdy, right? So that's a bit jarring to folks, but it should come as no surprise that this thing is pretty quiet, for sure. Okay. Let's see, what other information is there? The tire setup is staggered. 265s on the front and 275s on the rear. Yowza. That's mental. Those are big tires. We'll keep it going. I don't agree with that, Jack. If you look up GLA 45 AMG exhaust, they sound pretty good. It's very rally car-esque, which, by the way, sleeper pick for a lot of folks is the A35 AMG. But it's a small vehicle, but it's very much like a luxury Lancer Evo. But yeah, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. But all of that's to your opinion, right? Like, if you don't like the noise, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. Like, you just don't like the noise. Okay. The redesigned W206 C-Class features form, surfaces, and graphics. Ooh, that was a mistake. Okay. Yeah, the interior, pretty similar. Nothing crazy here. You got a Alcantara leather steering wheel. Not a lot going on here. I mean, it's a good looking interior already, right? So they didn't really need to do much anyway to that. Overall, the look of this car, honestly, it's a lot more reserved than I thought it would be. I thought Mercedes would sort of overcompensate for the fact that this is a 2-liter 4-cylinder hybrid by doing something a little more rowdy with the exterior. But I guess it opens it up to future editions that are rowdier by result. I do love the front end of this car. I think it's one of the better looking C-Classes in recent history, especially compared to the last one. I thought the last sedan just didn't hit the mark for me style-wise. But again, that's my personal opinion, so maybe you guys loved it. The powertrain in it was insane, but I like the look of this C-Class a lot better. I think it's a good looking car. Yeah, and if they don't do it for you, they don't do it for you. So I get you, Jack, for sure. Okay, speaking of which, the C63 will launch in both sedan and wagon formats. Obviously, we won't get the wagon, so I'm not going to even talk about that too much further. And there is no price, but that probably means we can't afford it. Okay. So we're just going to do a quick scan to see if there's anything else that we want to cover super fast before we dive into the daily driver $40,000 question before we then end the stream. So if you folks have any other cues or any other questions or any other talking points that you want to touch on, definitely don't hesitate to ping the chat and we will cover it for sure. So Jack asks, I didn't want to plug up the news. Best daily in the mid to high 40s. Been looking for something nice, new or used, doesn't matter at all. Okay, Jack, so we got a couple things here right off the gate. Number one, are you looking for something to buy right now that's in stock, or are you willing to wait? Number two, do you care if it's an SUV, sedan, coupe, whatever, or are you just looking for something? Number three, I'm going to lower this standing desk to sitting because we've been standing for almost an hour now. And we're back. Okay. Oh, yeah, that feels good. I didn't have anything for my back there, and I wasn't wearing any shoes, which is kind of dumb. Okay, anyway. So, Jack, answer me those questions, and then we can sort of, like, get into this a little bit more, because my definition of what I'm looking for something might be a little bit different than yours without knowing that information, right? It's pretty key. Okay. Dacia Manifesto doesn't really matter for us here in the States. Oh, let's just talk about the new Mustang as Jack hits us with a little more intel there, because we haven't been online yet to talk about the new Mustang, and they definitely made a lot of changes to this car that are very, very appealing. I've been looking at used. Okay, no. I need the info that I need, Jack. Is do you want a sedan, coupe, SUV, wagon? And do you want it to be available now in dealer lots, or are you willing to wait if you order one? Let me know that info, and then we can definitely help you out. Okay, so Mustang released the brand new version of the Mustang, which, by the way, the only reason why, and Ford said this car exists is because of the success of the Mustang Mach-E and the success of this car on retail lots or not retail lots, in the rental game, right? So they can still afford to produce these because of, of that, right? Okay. So let's take a look at the photos first, okay? So this car here, this is the Mustang Dark Horse. And I want you to think about this as the Mustang Mach-1 of this generation. So what that means is this is the track-ready version that uses the Coyote V8, okay? Now, this is faster than the Mach-1. It's faster than the GT350R. It's faster than all those, but it's the Coyote V8, which has been revised, but track-ready, okay? And then this is the regular GT. So you can see the differences in the front end. It's pretty clear, right? Pay attention to the bottom portion here, right? This is a lot more aggressive. The hood also slightly more aggressive. You have different wheels, okay? Larger, and you have a larger spoiler in the back, right? It's just overall more aggressive, okay? From the side view, you can see it as well, right? The stance, right? You can kind of see it here. The stance of the Dark Horse, it has lips all around, massive brakes versus this, pretty standard. Both of them look great. But the Dark Horse definitely takes it up to 11 when it comes to looks for sure. What do you guys think of the aesthetics of the Mustang? I think it's very European looking on the outside. Definitely some suggestions of Camaro. I get that. But I think the overall look and feel of this car makes it feel a lot more Euro, a lot more classy to me versus the outgoing Mustang products. I think a lot of that has to do with the headlight design and the overall taillight. There's a lot of finesse here, it feels like to me, versus historically. The rear three-quarter view, in my opinion, is one of the better ones, but it's also the easiest way to tell the difference between a GT and a GT Dark Horse. So this is the GT, okay? Quad pipes, nice wing, big GT badge, nice wheels. And then you look at the Dark Horse, okay? Way more aggressive rear wing, right? With the double design here. Way more aggressive exhaust. You can see the exhaust up here, right? Nicer wheels. And then again, this whole rear lip section is very different. So overall, I think the Dark Horse is worth it, even from an aesthetics perspective, never mind all the things that it has. But let's get into the details really quick about the 2024 Ford Mustang, because they did actually change a lot of things about this car. A lot. And then they also changed nothing at all, which is great. But anyway, let's get into it. So the first thing that they changed, one of the bigger changes, obviously aside from the exterior appearance, is the inside. Ford made a lot of changes. The interior is all new. They're bringing the Mustang into the 21st century, and they did it in a really, really good way. So let's try to find a good article that shows at least the interior. Okay. Read the full story. All right, perfect. View photos. I just want to view photos, friends. I just want to view photos. Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness. Why are they making this difficult? Okay, so let's go to the inside of the Ford Mustang so you guys can hear what I'm talking about. So the previous generation Ford Mustang had a nice screen, but it wasn't anything to write home about. This one has a very commanding presence in the screen department. It looks very BMW-esque, but you see what I mean with this sort of like European flair that the Ford Mustang kind of has. While it still has some very American styling cues like this center stack with the cup holders, the gear shifter, and even the steering wheel. This screen here is all Euro. This is also very European, and I love it. I think it looks very, very good. Rear seats, still useless, still look very good. We'll talk about this e-brake handle in a second. But yeah, I think Ford absolutely nailed this design. Love the Recaro seats. Have always loved the Recaro seats in the Mustang. So let's talk about the details of this car because I think it's pretty important for you guys to know. So 2 engines, 2.3 liter turbo 4, 5 liter V8, but both of those engines, as Car and Driver notes, are heavily updated. So what did they do to update them? Okay, the EcoBoost engine, better packaging, new fuel delivery and ignition system, and a higher compression, and an updated turbo. That's a lot of changes, okay? So because of that, Ford is going to give the performance figures later, but it's probably going to have close to 330, 350. Pretty good out of a 2-liter. Pretty good out of a 2.3-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine, okay? The 4-pot, however, is only offered with a 10-speed auto. So if you want a manual, you got to step it up to the V8. So what did Ford do to the V8? They added dual throttle bodies, dual intakes, which gives it better airflow and increases horsepower. Ford says the V8 is the most powerful one yet, which means it's going to have more than 480 horsepower. So we're going to be looking at something relatively close to 500 horsepower in just the GT. Joe, what is going on, brother? How you doing, man? How are things? Hope everybody is well. Love that profile photo. The 5.0 also receives a new steel oil pan that improves flow and reduces friction. The driver's side exhaust manifold has been updated too, and the camshaft timing on the exhaust side has been revised. The V8 gets a 6-speed manual and a 10-speed auto. Okay. The interesting thing to note here, though, is if you want to get a Tremec 6-speed, you got to get the Dark Horse. So that means that the regular one probably has a get rag unit, which is fine, but just something to know. Okay, so what is this drift stick? Okay, other than just being a horrible name, in my view. Before we get to that, let's quickly touch on... Actually, no. Let's talk about that first. Screw it. Here it is. Ford's giving you an e-brake handle, but they're changing it a little bit. It comes on all Mustangs equipped with the performance package. When drift mode is activated, it instantly locks up the rear wheels with 4 to 5 more force than a regular parking brake. There's no modulation, and that's it. So, to repeat in layman's terms, okay, when you yank the drift stick, or when you yank an e-brake traditionally, okay, it locks up the rear wheels, but it locks it up, a little more than traditionally braking because it's an emergency stop thing, but nothing crazy. This drift stick, though, does 4 to 5 times the force, instantly locking the rear wheels, which means you're going to very easily be able to slide this thing. Okay. There's no modulation. You just boop and it pulls it. So you're not pulling any force. This is an electronic. It could have been a button, honestly. It could have been a button, but they wanted to give you that sort of feel that you're ripping an e-brake, right? So if you look at this, right, there's no, force feedback here. You're literally going whoop and it locks the rear wheels. 4 to 5 times the power of a traditional e-brake. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool feature. Honestly, it's more like a cutesy feature. If anything else, this doesn't really feel like, something that's destined really for, I don't know. Like, it's a cool thing to have, but anyway. Suspension changes are pretty noteworthy as well. Ford brought the suspension knuckles, updated the rear suspension links, all to GT350 spec. The Mustang has new spring rates and a new steering system with a quicker ratio. Now, if you opt for the performance pack, let's say you really want that drift handle, okay? It gives you extra bracing, a larger radiator and cooling fan, a larger front and rear brake, a limited slip diff, anti-roll bars, wider rear wheels, and tires. This is a must. This is a must. This is a must. And you get Pirelli Pilot Sport 4S's, which is also a must. With the GT model, so if you get the V8, you also get brake ducts and an auxiliary oil cooler, which will make it a little bit better in the event you want to track it, right? And that's what it looks like. Looks awesome, if I do say so myself. Looks awesome, honestly. And you can get Magna-Ride adaptive dampers, optional, if you want that, which is pretty cool. So yeah, all right, guys, let's get into it. So Jack says, what did Jack say? I've been looking at used Quadrifoglios. I'd like to get it pretty soon. Wagons, yes. Coupes, yes. Sedans, yes. Even hatchbacks. Okay. Let's get into it. We're going to go over to the fine folks at Car Gurus. Actually, no. It's easier to manipulate the cars.com website. So cars.com, if we do this. Yep. Pilot Sport 4S's for sure. This. Okay. No Ford Broncos. Ford Jack. Okay. So, body style. Easy. Coupe. Hatchback. Sedan. Wagon. We're going to go most expensive. Boom. All right. Let's see what we got for you, sir. So I extended my range to 150 miles because I don't really know your zip code, and that's okay. That doesn't really matter. Oop, I am getting a call, folks. I will talk to everybody soon. Hold on 1 second. All right. Sorry about that delay. We are back. Okay, Jack says I can extend the range to 300. So for folks that are tuning in, Jack, also myself. I'm just going to throw this out there, Jack. Let me know if you can hear me, by the way. We're looking for something in the 40s, fun to drive, really good daily. So if you guys are in the chat, you have options, throw them out there, and let's go through it, because I got a lot of opinions on this. A lot of opinions. Okay. So Jack, by the way, guys, is based in the New England area. So when it comes to climate, that's where he's looking. Okay. All right. So I'm going to... and also for folks that don't know, Jack has a fun vehicle. Okay. Jack has a GTO. So he doesn't necessarily need this vehicle to be like super mega crazy. Okay. In terms of that. All right, Jack. So I'm gonna give you some options right out of the gate. Okay. Let's do that. Let's do not that. Okay. Actually, we're just gonna go to websites. Okay. So the first option, people are gonna hate me for this, don't really care, is this guy. Okay. I don't know if you've driven one yet, Jack. I don't know if you have experience with electric vehicles at all, but this is something that you should definitely consider. Why? I don't know if your Geo specifically has any sort of rebates on these, but you can get a Model 3 that does 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds, 267 miles of range for $46,000. If you were to buy this in Massachusetts, you instantly get a $2,500 check, making that $47,000 price $45,000. Your fuel costs are a lot lower per tank. Your maintenance costs are a lot lower. Also, if you're okay with used, you can get a long range or a performance used as well. But Tesla Model 3 is definitely a good option in the 40s. Okay, option number 2 comes by the way of the fine folks at Volkswagen. Now, this is going to be a harder one to find, but I'm going to give you 2 options here. Golf R and GTI. If you look at GTI, you're going to be saving a lot of money. Now, you got a lot of experience with hatchbacks. I know you in the past have Mazda 3s. The GTI sort of takes this to the next level and gives you adaptive chassis control, heads-up display, leather, heated seats, power seats, all that jazz, and you can get both of them for under $40,000. But if you want to take it up to the next level, you're looking at a Golf R, which is mid-40s, crazy power, a lot of fun, honestly, really good daily driver. Definitely consider Golf R and GTI. Now, another option, Jack, I don't charge at home either, and I have had EVs for the last year. So you definitely don't need to charge at home you don't need to have home charging to have an EV. You really don't. Not even close. Okay. Another option is the S5 and S4. You can get these in 4-door or 2-door. They come in a turbocharged V6. You're looking at really nice interiors, good power levels, very comfortable to drive, and pretty plentiful in that mid $40,000 bracket. Really good looks. This will look good for a long time. Honestly, I can't recommend these enough. A lot of people really enjoy these. So we've covered 4 different vehicles right there, but we're going to sort of keep it going here. BMW, nothing really tickles my fancy there, I got to be honest with you. The M2 you can get in the $45,000 range, but, you know, nothing really there. One of the things you could look at if you really wanted to is the 230, the brand new 230. These are really nice cars. Very, very nice cars. Let's see. Newest year. Oldest year. Yikes. Newest year. I'll just show you what they look like. Okay, here we go. These are very good-looking cars. You're looking at, you know, turbo 4-cylinder, rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, coupe, good chassis, good tech, great looks. Honestly, you can't go wrong with one of these. I drove an M240. My brother-in-law has one of these, loved it. And the two-cylinder, the four-cylinder will actually feel nimbler than the six-cylinder, and you can get it in this rockin' color scheme for right under $50,000. So this is a really good option. Also, it's got back seats too. Looks great. Has a lot of road presence. Definitely would consider one of these for sure. And you can get them in all-wheel drive, and they're new. You get the warranty. You got all that jazz. I would stay away from the Quadrifoglio, Jack, because we're talking about reliability, right? As amazing as that car is to drive, its reliability is a massive red flag, and as a result is not something you should really consider because of that, truly. The reliability is a massive red flag in those cars. But if we isolate this to wagons, you actually do have a couple options here as well. If we look at the wagons in the 40s, really your options are as follows. I'm just going to click into this one not because of pricing. There's a lot of them in this price range, okay, as you can see here. Let's do that. Let's do that. And I think that's it. Yeah, okay. So in the wagon category, your first option really is the Jaguar XF. Honestly, this is the best option too, if I say so myself. Supercharged six-cylinder engine, pretty reliable. They've been making these cars for a long time. It looks incredible. One of the things that you'll want to note is if you want Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, you really need a widescreen here. So this one is not capable for it, but in other Jaguars, you'll see they have a wider screen here, and those are capable to be updated to have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You got good looks, you got great sound system, you got good ride, you got sporty driving dynamics, good machine. The second and third wagon options come from the fine folks at Volvo. They've been making these things for a long time also. They've worked out a lot of the quirks. If you get a T6 or T5 model, you don't have as many intricacies to the drivetrain. Won't be the most fun to drive, but will definitely be the most comfortable. Most comfy or comfiest front seats I've ever sat in a modern vehicle come by way of Volvo. And that is both true for the V60 and the V90. Both of them have very, very comfortable front seats, and you can have all the features you ever want, really, in both of those cars. Now, if you guys are joining this chat, Jack asked the question of $40,000 car or mid-40s, something like that. What is the best option for him? So we crossed off sedans. We showed off a bunch of hatchbacks. We crossed off wagons, and we showed a bunch of hatchbacks. Let's get into some sedan options that'll hit the mark for Jack here, okay? And I think there is a lot of options actually in the sedan category that could potentially fit what you're looking for. Now, what I'll say here, okay, is that you don't have to spend $40,000 or above to get something awesome. No, Jack, if you message Pablo, who's on a lot of the equivalent car groups, he can give you the lowdown, the skinny on Jags, but the six-cylinder is fine. They've been making it for a long time. Okay, when it comes to sedans, you do truly have a lot of options, and you don't really have to spend this much money. I know a lot of people are like, well, my budget's 40 grand, but like, you can spend way less than that and get a lot of really good options. So let's get into what those good options can be and why you should consider that as something for yourself if you're looking at a vehicle in the 40s. Okay, let's get one or two more in here. And then we will go through it. Okay, let's say you don't want to get a Honda Accord. Let's say you don't want to get a Toyota Camry. Let's say you don't want to get a Hyundai Sonata N-Line. You want to spice it up. You want to do something a little bit crazy. You want to do something a little cool. You want to do something a little nice. You want to level up a little bit. I totally get that. I hear you. These are the best options, really, in this sub $40,000 price category for sedans. Option number one, bang, Audi A6. I don't know why it says S5. This is an A6. You can get the new generation model for under $40,000. You're looking at either a turbocharged four-cylinder engine or a turbocharged 6-cylinder engine. You got plenty of space on the interior. You got plenty of tech. You got really good looks. You have an overall very professional aesthetic to this vehicle. Lots of comfort, lots of class, lots of tech for not a lot of price. You're looking at $40,000 for this A6 that I am looking at right now, and this is a 2019 model with 13,000 miles. That is a very, very good price for this vehicle. It is in New York, and it has a 3-liter turbocharged V6 engine. Tough to go wrong with something like this, and I very much have considered one of these as well. Opinion on the Charger Scat Pack. I would rather get this. This, while it's not as rowdy, okay, is better in all 4 seasons, especially in New England. It is more nondescript, and you don't need rowdy V8 because you have rowdy V8 in your garage as well, Jack. So having a substantially different, more comfy daily driver affords you the ability to really just tune it down a bit, and it allows you to sort of enjoy your other car more. Right? If you were daily driving a GTO, also, it would kind of sort of desensitize you to the other vehicle that you had in your garage. So I would rather skew this direction than something else, okay? But we'll keep it going. Again, I bring up Tesla, okay, because you can get one of these for the price that you're looking for. Not as much room as an A6, but anyway, we talked about that already, so I'm not going to touch on that too much. Other option is an Arteon. Now, I know we touched on a little bit earlier that these are a little expensive, but on the used market, you can actually get them for really cheap, and they do provide a lot of value. The Arteon is freaking huge. This is a very big vehicle with a lot of space, with a lot of tech, made in Germany, so it's built strong, built right, no creaks, no rattles. This thing is built like a brick house. It's got the 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine, which is immensely tunable if you want to add more power. These things are really comfortable, and they're a really good value on the used market. You're looking at $40,000 for something that is a little bit larger than an Audi A6, actually. So definitely something that I would go check out if I was in the market for a slightly bigger sedan. But let's keep it going. The last option that I want you to consider that maybe you haven't already, of course they do. Jack, of course they do, is the Cadillac Ct5. Now, this is the most dynamic chassis you'll find in this segment. This likely will be the best driving vehicle in this segment. You can get this with turbocharged 4 cylinders, 6 cylinders, supercharged 8 cylinders. But the fact of the matter is, you'd be hard-pressed to find something that drives better than this car in this class. Now, the interior leaves a little bit to be desired compared to something like the Audi A6, but you're still getting a lot of that features. I mean, look, this thing has a Bose sound system, carbon fiber inlays, black on black, big screen. Overall, nice looking machine. You know what I mean? Like, I really, really do like the Cadillac Ct5. I think it's slept on, especially for the features and things that it provides. Heated seats, ventilated seats, radar cruise, all that jazz, right? And you're getting all of this for under $50,000 by a lot, okay? So I would definitely consider a Ct5 as well, 100%. These are really, really good machines. The Ct5 you can get for significantly cheaper than an ATS-V. And again, one of the things that I want to note is the Ct5 you can get an all-wheel drive. The ATS-V is always rear-wheel drive. Now, I'm not saying that just because you live in a climate with snow, you have to get something all-wheel drive, but it does definitely make things a little bit easier. If you put winter tires on both machines, like at the end of the day, the Ct5V or the Ct5 will be easier to sort of, you know, operate versus a ATS-V, even if both of them have winter tires. You can get a Ct4V, if I remember correctly. Yeah, for $50 grand, top of the price range. But anyway, but yeah, I would probably stick to the Ct5. Bigger car, bigger interior. We're bigger guys, so it's well received. So yeah, Ct5, and then obviously, you know, this wouldn't be a MoneyShift stream if we didn't plug the fine folks in Korea. Genesis is obviously doing big things. If we look at Genesis and we cap this at $45K. You'll see some pretty good options here. Right, you have the new G70. You can get a 3.3 liter twin turbo V6 all-wheel drive G70 for that price. It's going to be smaller than the A6 and the Ct5, but it's going to be faster. So if you're just looking for overall speed, this is your guy. If you're looking for more comfort, definitely skew towards the A6 option. But yeah, you can get a G70 in that price range, which is pretty cool. You can get an OG G90, but those aren't really fun to drive, as that's more of a luxury vehicle. So yeah, you can get a G70 for sure. If you want to be a little bit cheaper, you can get a older G70 turbo 4-cylinder. I had the manual one in this body style, loved it. Yeah, Jack, they're unbelievable cars to drive, but they're unbelievably unreliable. So because of that, I would stay away. The only time I would buy an Alpha Giulia Quad, especially the first year's cars, is when they go under $30,000, right? But we're a long ways away from that, and as a result, you're going to be paying big maintenance costs on something that's probably top of your budget relatively soon. Versus if you got any one of these cars that we talked about today, yeah, they might not be as fast as a Giulia Quad, but they're going to be more reliable, and they have similar road presence. Like a G70 looks really nice. A6 looks really nice. Ct5 looks really nice. So they like cover all those bases that you're looking for. But folks, hope that was helpful, Jack. Appreciate the questions as always. This is where we are going to wrap up the stream. If this was your first time tuning in, thank you. Appreciate that. Welcome. This is MoneyShift Live. We're going to do these weekly, or try to. But yeah, this is where we go over automotive news, answer your questions, and just have some car dialogue on a Friday. We love that. Nothing better than just talking back and forth with folks on the automobile. There's tons of cool stuff in the market, always happening. So yeah, Ct5 and Genesis.